Welcome to Tech presented by KYZEN, where we will explore common cleaning questions and answers. Let's get started. I would like to introduce KYZEN's own Joe McChesney.
Hello, and thank you for joining us today on our Tech to Tech session. 2025 will be a transition year for solvents, especially in the cleaning applications. So for solvent users considering options, how to convert, change, etc., we hope this info is helpful. So let's get started. When you're searching for replacement solvents due to impending regulatory changes, one factor you need to consider is price versus process cost. And you really need to look close at this because price per pound is not the total process cost. When you're looking for replacement solvents, you have to consider the entire process cost because meeting cleanliness specifications for production throughput is increasingly demanding today. Environmental compliance for solvents used in this process ranks extremely high. 2025 is a key year for environmental regulations, and you'll see that a little bit later on in this presentation. And why do you need to act now? Because time is required to investigate available options, ensure validation of process, and evaluate long-term sustainability. And these factors all come into play when you're looking at making a solvent transition. You have the government regulations, you have existing supply issues, you have process changes, cost of operation, cleanliness levels, and especially the EH&S concerns. All of these must be considered. So 2025 is a year of attrition for several degreasing solvents. And why? Because the EPA has basically regulated a lot of solvents to protect human health, address PFAS issues, and environmental concerns. Who will be affected? Anyone who manufactures, imports, processes, distributes, uses, or disposes of specific solvents or products containing listed solvents will be impacted by the EPA's regulations. These are the exact words out of the EPA documents. And what does this involve? A lot of the regulated solvents used are in vapor degreasing and other applications. So if you're using these solvents, change is required. And if you pay attention to the chart, you'll see that the dates in red are basically on us now. 2025 is here. 2025 March has a lot of different solvent regulations. 2026, some of it started in 2024. So at this point, you don't have a lot of time. If you're using these solvents, change is inevitable. It must be documented. You must be planned and how you're going to make your transition. So these are current regulation dates by the EPA. As always, all dates and any exceptions for use subject to change by the EPA. So you have limited time to consider, but change is going to happen. Sunset dates are firm and the EPA clock is ticking. EH&S concerns and compliance must come first. You don't want to change over and find out that the solvent you've changed to does not meet current regulations or does not have sustainability. And how will change affect your production? Does it increase the cost? Does it increase the various costs involved with that? So what are your total operational costs? Well, you need to do this homework and build a matrix to determine these costs. And non-compliance is not an option. The EPA is going to regulate that these solvents have to be changed. So when you look at vapor degreasing solvents, price versus cost, there is a difference. The solvent price is only a part of the total all-inclusive process cost. Replacement solvent price is only part of that cost and needs to be evaluated very thoroughly. So when you look at the little diagram I have on the right, process cost is more than just a solvent. You've got your running cost, which is your utilities, your labor, your tangible cost that goes in with this, your disposal cost for the waste, your maintenance cost for your service, your specification cost, making sure that your product does meet specifications or your solvent meets the specifications, the installation cost, and your manufacturing cost. All of this goes into a common bucket that equates to your total cost. Tangible cost, that's the equipment and the operation and utilities and your labor. Cleaning agents. You have a cleaning agent that if you make the change, you have to refill, and then you've got periodic makeup. You've got periodic solvent testing to ensure that your solvent is staying within the guidelines that's required, as well as not affecting any of your cleanliness levels. The periodic EH&S inspections. This will be mandated by the government that periodically you have to verify that your solvent is meeting all the limits and regulations imposed by that particular solvent. Service and waste disposal. All the soils that go into your system must be disposed of periodically. So you have a cost involved with that, labor, permits, etc. And then you've got miscellaneous overhead cost. The cost to basically handle the materials, the cost to basically issue permits, purchase orders, etc. So look closely at all these costs as you develop your matrix as you're doing your planning for the conversion. The right solvent can yield benefits. What are these benefits? Most of them are intangible. Reliable supply chain. You do not want to change to one type of solvent and find out that you cannot get that in the volume required and in the time desired. Environmentally sustainable compliance. All these solvents must meet EPA and OSHA regulations as well as state regulations. You want a product that's got superior quality product that will last, increase your bath life, reduce your maintenance cost, produce acceptable cleaning levels on your components going out. And you want a proven cleaning performance. You want to make sure that all your different substrates and all your different contaminants match the solvent, and there's no issues involved with that. And again, I recommend value-added tech support when required. This doesn't matter if it's solvent or computers or phones. You need tech support periodically, and you need to work with a company that can provide that. So I developed a plan or steps how to look and develop a conversion matrix that'll deliver success. And this is just my opinion, is first you start and you identify the existing sunset date on the solvents that you've got. You can look at through the EPA, you can look through OSHA, your state regulations, etc., but you need to identify that sunset date because that's your final deadline. You need to basically obtain the replacement solvents info. Not all solvents are equal. Some have different characteristics. Some have different regulations in terms of personnel exposure or environmental exposure. You need to plan. You need to test and select the new solvent that you've desired. This can be done with your team. Form a team to meet the consensus for production needs and EH&S concerns. You need to plan the conversion to allow for production schedules. You don't want to basically get caught without a plan and an action to make the conversion that would interrupt your production. And finally, if you follow this plan, you'll have sustainable use for the present and long term. And this is your goal. Help is available if you need technical support, and most solvent suppliers will provide this. You want to look at being cost effective. And if you look at the definition of cost effective, it's achieving a desired outcome at the lowest possible cost to meet production requirements and ensure profitability. We all want this in our industrial world. Cleaning is generally necessary for most production parts, and it adds cost to the operation. You want to ensure that the resources used are aligned with the results achieved. You want to make sure that as you make the transition, you meet all of your matrix plans. You want to choose the right solvent. You want long-term advantages. You don't want to choose, again, something that's got short-term advantages and you have to go through the same process within a very short period of time. And you want to seek performance, environmental compliance, and value-added support to achieve the most cost-effective sustainability. I put together a value equivalence line, and basically this just gives you a graph that looks at your perceived price of the products and your perceived benefits. And you need to do this and evaluate the different solvents because they are different prices, they are different values, and they all have different end result effects. So by looking at a VEL analysis, you can determine the total cost of your process and the total benefits, whether it's direct or indirect or intangible, and again, achieving the final results that you desire. The lower price product may actually increase total process cost. This is why you need to really plan and look closely. So for your solvent transition, you need to find the right fit. You need to find the cost of compliance, the cost to change the process, the cost of quality, the cost of operations. And always remember that the EPA clock is ticking, and for 2025, it is ticking very quickly. If you look at the solvents on the market today from a regulatory view, while any future forecast is uncertain, the move to phase out several solvents is certain and underway now by the EPA. Where are you in your search status? Take a few minutes and look and see at your deadline dates, look at your plans, look at your team consensus, and develop your strategy how you're going to make your conversion. Can you afford to wait? Some people will wait too long and won't be able to make the transition in a timely manner, especially if you have critical cleaning specifications such as military, aerospace, or medical. And there is a difference between price versus process cost. Help is available. KYZEN has worldwide technical support, and we assist our customers in basically offering these services and key benefits. I frequently get asked questions on this topic by several people, and I put together a couple of quick questions to help you with your understanding. The first one is, how do I evaluate the best method to change my solvent without affecting the process cost? This is a biggie because most people do not want to pay more for their solvents. They don't want to increase their process cost. And how do you determine how to change? Well, again, you have to build this matrix. You have to take it step by step and look at the cost that your current production method is yielding. Then you evaluate how you can change. Are you going to make a longer production time frame? Is it going to be shorter? Are you going to have more waste? Are you going to have more solvent consumption? Is your solvent going to be more costly? All these factors come into play. So this is something that you or your team have to look at. How long will I be able to obtain affected solvents from my supplier? This is an open-end question because some sources for certain solvents are getting very scarce currently. Some are basically put on limitations how much you can buy. Some basically are being phased out sooner than the actual end dates by the original manufacturers. So this is something that you need to look at closely and talk to your local solvent supplier or talk to the supplier that you basically have made your decision you're going to change to. What is the expected date when the new regulations will become law? Again, if you look at the graph that I had in, or the chart, it basically shows you the end dates currently as issued by the EPA and OSHA. When you look at these dates, a lot of them are firm and a lot of them are basically happening as we speak. I recommend you contact the EPA through their website and get the current local documents that affect the solvent that you're using in your site. If my company elects to use solvent degreasing by choice or necessity, what solvent process do you consider best for long-term future? This is a kind of a double-edged question because if you're using existing open-top degreasers and it's a fairly new generation degreaser for interim time frame, like 1 to 3 years or something, you may want to change to a traditional open-top degreaser solvent that meets all the current EH&S mandates. If you're considering for long-term and you've got an older open-top degreaser that's less efficient, you may want to consider looking at a vacuum degreasing process. Vacuum degreasing solvents are not currently regulated by the EPA in terms of the need to change quickly. They have an extended life frame on them. At this point, they're all enclosed. There's no part per million going out to the operator area. They reuse the solvent over and over again. So for the lowest operational cost of solvent degreasing, vacuum degreasing is the future. As with everything, everybody has different methods or rules or opinions and selections. So I recommend you contact the solvent supplier company that can offer technical support and offer technical advice to help you in your transitions. And with that, I thank you for your time today, and I'll turn this back over to William.
Thanks, Joe. Thank you guys for tuning into this Tech to Tech session. If you would like to discuss this topic further or have any questions not answered in the session, please contact your local KYZEN regional manager or send an email to tech@KYZEN.com, and we will have someone follow up with you as soon as possible. And if you like this video, be sure to follow us on our social media platforms for more expert cleaning content.